In order for them to be successful in 2018, the Democratic Party establishment knows that they'll need to come up with some type of cohesive message, perhaps a slogan of some sort, to illustrate in a concise way what the Democratic Party stands for. So the DCCC came up with a couple of options, and they decided to allow voters to decide which ones, or which one specifically was our favorite. And the options that they presented to us were so atrocious that when I first saw them, I literally thought that they were fake. I thought that it was literally satire and someone making fun of the Democratic Party, basically demonstrating just how lost they are and what they would come up with because they're so lost. But what they came up with it's just unbelievable to me. So we have 4 options. The first one is resist and persist. I have no idea what that means. So if I'm voting for a party who stands for resist and persist, what does that mean to me? What are the implications? Resist what? Because if you're resisting Donald Trump, we know that you only choose to resist him once in a while, when it's politically expedient for you. But when it comes to the more harmful things that he's doing, your resistance has been tepid at best. And furthermore, when it comes to him ramping up the drone war and ramping up the war in Syria, you haven't resisted him at all. In fact, you've endorsed what Donald Trump has been doing. Hillary Clinton, who some claim is the leader of the resistance against Donald Trump, which is weird to me, but nonetheless, she actually said that if she were in his shoes, she would have bombed Syria more, and she wouldn't have warned the Russians to get out of there. So they're not resisting Donald Trump at all. So resist and persist means nothing to me. And honestly, it's confusing, if anything. Resist and persist. What does that mean? So yeah, you have to have a message that's concise, but it also has to be coherent. So another option here, even worse, is she persisted, we resisted. Again, I have no idea what that means. So she persisted, we resisted. It's past tense, meaning, well, we resisted, we put in our effort, to resist Donald Trump, and we lost, so we're done. And Hillary Clinton persisted in spite of all the media attacks on her, even though she had, media outlets like CNN and MSNBC doing propaganda for her all throughout the primaries. She persisted in spite of all these smears that were just unfair, even though she's one of the most corrupt politicians in American history. This is just... It makes no sense to me, and I have to question what they were thinking when they came up with this. Why would you even incorporate Hillary Clinton, who is now less popular than Donald Trump? Why would you incorporate someone, presumably, Hillary Clinton, who else are we talking about? We're not talking about Nancy Pelosi, are we? Because that would be dumb as well, but she persisted, we resisted. Why would you include a failed presidential candidate? Not just a one-time failed presidential candidate, but a 2-time failed presidential candidate. You're including her in your slogan to represent the aggregate party? That makes no sense to me. Who gave you these ideas? You couldn't have come up with these ideas yourself. It had to be the work of a Democratic Party strategist who gets paid millions and millions of dollars, who continuously fucks up but will never be fired in spite of the bad advice that they continuously feed to the party, because they demonstrate their value to the party, and they say, hey, if you get rid of us, you're going to be completely clueless, and because the party is clueless, at least these strategists are giving them some ideas, and even though they're just completely shit ideas, they're ideas nonetheless, which the party doesn't have, so they stick with these strategists. Unbelievable. Now, this is my favorite. Democrats 2018. Have you seen the other guys? This is the one I saw at first, and again, I'm not joking, not to be redundant, I literally thought that this was satirical. But this is actually an option that they presented us with. What an inspiring option. Have you seen the other guys? Hey, vote for us because the other guys are shitty. I hate to tell you this, but that's not a recipe for you taking back Congress. That's a recipe for voters staying home because you're not offering them anything. That makes me so frustrated. I feel torn because on one hand, I feel frustrated that they're so clueless, but on the other hand, it's still humorous to me because they're just so lost at this point that you can't help but laugh at them and how pathetic they are. Have you seen the other guys? Now, another one is a play on Donald Trump's slogan, "Make Congress blue again." Well, that's definitely not going to happen given what you've shown us will be the message for the party. If anything, you're going to make Congress even more red than it is now. And in fact, I think that the Republicans in Congress should start preparing their victory speeches now, because after seeing this, I mean, we're just in for another Democratic Party bloodbath in 2018 when, with everything that Donald Trump is doing, this should be a cakewalk for the Democratic Party. Now, as a result of this, the DCCC was trending on Twitter, and the internet did what the internet does best. They mocked the DCCC relentlessly and just tear them apart. So I want to share with you some of my favorites. So, Democrats, defend Romney Care, war with Russia. That's actually pretty apt, believe it or not. Democrats 2018, the strain was more than they could bear. Democrats 2018, platforms are hard, guys. Democrats 2018, what do you have to lose? That's perfect. This might be my favorite. Democrats 2018, donate or the Republicans will win by more. These are all, even though they're meant to, be a parody and to mock the DCCC and Democratic Party establishment, these are more accurate than the slogans that the party came up with. Now, we also have Slave Queen, which obviously is a reference to Hillary Clinton's use of mostly black prison laborers that worked for her for free at the Arkansas governor's mansion. Now, we also have this one, which is just awesome. It says, single payer now, cowards. So this one doesn't necessarily relate to the bumper stickers, but it did come up in the feeds, and I thought it was great, so I had to share it. So look, clearly these choices are absolutely awful, and I would normally, after I see options this piss poor, I would tell them to get back to the drawing board, but if they came up with this, and this is the best they came up with, then clearly there's not going to be anything much better. So, it's a lost cause at this point. They are so hopeless that any chance that they should have at taking back Congress, it's just they botched it.
Support this podcast by joining the independent progressive media revolution today at humanistreport.com.